I'm going to call it mental warfare that's going on. This is a total war. It's not just fought on game day on the field. There is a whole lead up to it. And the Chiefs are being very intentional about how they talk about the 49ers. Guys like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, leaders of the team. How do you interpret, or how have you perceived their strategy in terms of how to talk about the Niners?
They're on message. They are on message. You can definitely tell that they're very media trained. You're not getting a lot of cathartic, real moments out of them the same way you're getting out of our guys. There's not a lot of personal stories being told. There's not a lot of anecdotal comeuppance stories about the genesis of the team and how certain players
story they are and how they exceeded expectations.
Exactly. The Paul Revere stories of how did we really get Christian? What was said on the inside room? We're getting all of these fly on the wall stories now as if it's time to reflect. Versus with Kansas City, they're very much matter of fact about it. They're being very professional. In some instances, they're being a little bit too heavy-handed. I'm looking at you, Chris Jones. And
this is what I want to talk about, though, how they're talking about. They're handling themselves with the professionalism you'd expect a team that's in their 4th Super Bowl appearance to act. But the way they're talking about the 49ers makes me smile. It makes me, it's because I feel like it's coordinated. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's on message. That's what I mean. I feel like if this was a political debate, these are two different parties, and everybody is stumping the base right now. Everybody is on base for Kansas City, and they're saying all of the right things. They're being very complimentary of the 49ers. They're saying that they're the best team that they've ever seen. These are quotes. This is the best team that I've ever seen. Trent Williams is ferocious. He is a tremendous athlete. I'm going to have to pray to be ready to go against this team. I saw another interview from Snead where he said that we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to face this team. The 49ers are a very worthy opponent, and the road that they had to get here was similar. He said Cinderella story stuff. So they're
also when Spagnuolo or Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid are asked about Brock Purdy, they go on and on and on. Oh my God. If you watch the film, he is not a game manager. He is so good. And it's all the things the 49ers fight for and want to hear. Team is better than than people even realize. This quarterback is better than people realize. And I feel like a lot of opponents the Niners have faced this year make the mistake of not saying that. They're like, this team,
we don't know. We got they're gettable. There's a blueprint.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to show. Yeah,
they can be beat. You can tell that the Niners, for what we bring offensively and defensively and just narrative, what the world thinks about us, what the NFL conversation is about us, they are not bothered by it at all. They have 100% leaned into it. There's not one subversive comment about the Niners whatsoever from the Chiefs. And on our side, you can tell that these boys are having a really good time. They are very excited to be there. Everybody's taking in the moment. You can tell even the conversations, the questions that the Niners are getting, just, and in some instances, they can't, they're strapped to their story, right? So in some instances, they're going to be the new team that has the quarterback that's Mr. Irrelevant, and you're going to get all of these quirky questions. But you could tell the narrative with the Chiefs versus the Niners is that the Niners, nobody has asked the Niners, what does it mean to you to finally be back where you feel like you deserve to be? What does it feel like for you to go through your journey with how the season ended last year and for you to finally be where you are to take advantage of your destiny? What does it feel like to be at the doorstep of your 6th Super Bowl championship? You're not getting any of those questions. Like, you're not getting any of the questions that lean into the true story, like why we're here, what we're trying to do. All of the questions and all of the narrative around the Niners is first time here. How do you feel? Would you get a tattoo of Brock Purdy on your face or not? Tell us how awesome the team is. So I'm ready for the media day to be over because it's time for us to get focused.
I feel like the way I've perceived the media treating the Super Bowl is this all about the Niners. This is the Niners. It's like, are they gonna break? It's all about, are they gonna break through? How they're the favorite. They're the story. I mean, the Chiefs are kind of boring. They're always here. It's not the best version of it. They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. They kind of run the ball. They were kind of weak all year. They dropped the ball. They flipped a switch about a month and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And I think the Niners are just a more interesting story. Brock's new. They haven't won. There's this whole dramatic tension, and doesn't mean the Niners will win. It just means that all the focus is on them.
Mm-hmm.
All the focus is on them. And I feel like the Chiefs are like happy about it. It's like, yeah, man, boo us. Cheer them. Give them all the help they need. They're great. We're going to boost them up too. You guys are phenomenal. You need it and you want it. We don't need that.
If I'm the Chiefs and I'm a coach on that team, I'm telling the Chiefs and my guys, we're the returning Super Bowl champions. We are the returning champs.
Yeah.
Right now, we are on top of the heap, and the entire narrative is basically damn near setting up the parade for these guys to win this game. These guys are fun. These guys are remarkably happy that they are here. And there hasn't seemed to be one real response as to, are you guys ready to face pretty much the best quarterback that you've seen this year, the best defense that you've seen this year, and through the two games that you guys have had thus far in the playoffs, it looks like you need to be trending up with this time that you have off rather than celebrating the win that you had against a team that, quite frankly, you should have beat.
What's interesting also about, when we move on, the questions are being asked for the Niners. I mean, they can't control this. This is just how the narrative of the game is shaping. I want to say like 95% of the questions the Niners get are not about the Chiefs or this game. They're about how incredible the Niners are, their story, their arc, how far they've come. Like, it feels like they won already with these questions. And I think the Chiefs are getting asked a lot of questions about the Niners because they're the topic. It's all about them. It's like it's their turn. It's Kyle's turn to prove all of the people who believed in him right. Okay, well, it's not that simple, man. You really have to go through the Chiefs, who seem very, very confident. And like, are the Niners confident? They seem nervous a little bit. That's my feeling being here. They seem a little nervous, which is, normal. They haven't won yet, but I think there's a difference.
And I kind of want to take the pause real quick to just kind of like, I try to feel the energy of like, being a fan, because I don't ever want to lose that, that perspective, right? I don't want to get so caught up in all of this that I lose the ability of being a fan. And right now, I'm a fan, right? And you're there. You are actually watching this stuff. And Iggy, I'd like you to highlight just knowing how to read the energy in the room, like your expertise of following this team for years and seeing the ebbs and flows of what the results are when they act a certain way before games. You were there for the last Super Bowl. So what are the differences between how their attitude and how their energy was leading up to the last Super Bowl versus this one? What can you say that you've seen thus far?
Like, why do I feel like they're nervous? I mean, it started off with Charvarius Ward saying they're going to turn up for a couple of days. Like, I didn't hear the Chiefs say something like that. And then we kind of saw it on Sunday when they flew in the bus at the game. It seemed like a couple people were turned up, and it's like, okay,
now
is that exactly? And then okay, so you had that happen, and it seemed like Kyle was almost one of the dudes partaking, like he almost gave the green light. Hey man, this is how we're going to do it, and then we're going to lock in. But then you keep having John Lynch. John Lynch keeps very diplomatically.
He's got a Super Bowl.
Right. And he's the one champion in this franchise, him and Charvarius Ward. And so he did it last week. He did it yesterday. He had a little scrum last night. And he keeps saying, like, I had Steve come talk to the team. And Steve Young really wanted to talk about FOMO, fear of missing out. And he was explaining to the guys, look, in 10 years, you're not going to look back and say, I wish I had partied a little bit more in Vegas that week. You're going to look back and say, I wish I had won the Super Bowl. And so we really need to lock in and understand that it doesn't matter that we're in Vegas. It doesn't matter. We haven't, this next week is going to determine whether we will be immortalized or not. And John Lynch keeps trying to diplomatically remind the team this. He's bringing in champions like Steve Young, but you got to remember that the Niners are not champions. From Kyle to Brock to all of them, they're not. Right. And I think they act like they know what it takes, but they haven't proven it yet. And you got John Lynch kind of reminding Kyle, kind of reminding Jed, kind of reminding the whole freaking organization, hey, guys, this is how it's done. I did this. Steve knows. Come on.
Yeah.
And then look at the Chiefs. Like, they've done it. Look at how they act. It's another game for them.
Yeah. And
another game for them.
That's something that we're only going to know what the effects of the warm up and the rollout to this game are going to be until the game is played. Right. So we're only going to know, like, hey, man, you guys, these are facts. You guys turned up before the game. The owner sat down and had basically a campfire moment with the media and started. He literally said on the record that the season would have been a success had we lost to Detroit. Like, he said that. Like,
all of this stuff that was just like not the time to talk about any of that. And then you keep having John Lynch come back and be like, hey, can we focus this conversation? We're playing the Chiefs.
Right.
This is it. This is the moment. We haven't done anything yet. We fought to be here. Let's stay here in the moment, looking towards this game. And I don't know. I mean, it's just, maybe it's hard. Maybe it's the questions we're asking, but the Niners definitely feel like they're in this, let's take a deep breath and appreciate where we are. Like, Chiefs don't do that. Chiefs don't do that at all.
And, if we're going to, and then
when they turn up, when they hey, let's enjoy ourselves for a minute. Does that indicate confidence, or does that sort of indicate I'm a little nervous? Let me sort of take the edge off. Let me take the edge off a little bit, and then I'll settle in this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll settle in, but right now I'm a little. I want to win this game. I haven't won this. I don't know. It seems to me that.
All right, so hold on. Hold on. This is what I don't like to do, right? I like to read the chat while we do the show because I feel like the pulse of what's actually being said while we're talking, I feel like that's fair. And there seems to be a resounding response of we're exaggerating, right? Or we're doing too much right now. So exactly. So hold on. So let's do this.
I'm just saying, this is the feeling I get being here, but it's just my subjective feeling. And I'm sure there's a ton of journalists here that don't feel that way. So that's just how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. And if they win the Super Bowl, then you'll be like, hey, Grant was wrong.
We were wrong.
Fine.
Exactly. But let's go back to 2019. In 2019, they partied in Miami before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's documented.
Huh? That's documented. Yes. That's a fact that they went out and partied. And you can say,
they were a bit of a young team. It was their first time there. It was Miami. They didn't really know. Okay. All right. So you did that. Now you're back 4 years later. What are you going to do differently to bring this one home? You're facing the same team. And I think what's tough about this matchup is I think they wanted the Ravens. Did I say this earlier? I think they wanted the Ravens.
Yeah.
Even though
I wanted the Ravens. I didn't want to see the Chiefs.
The Ravens don't have an offensive genius on their staff. Their quarterback hasn't won a Super Bowl. Like, you don't want to face Andy Reid with 2 weeks to prepare for you. You don't want to face Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what their regular season record is. You don't want that. And I think the Niners is a little bit of like, again, we have to face this guy again. Couldn't we?
Yeah.
Couldn't this have been the year where they don't make the Super? Couldn't we have gotten freaking anyone else? We outgained the Ravens. We feel good about the Ravens. We just have to not turn it over 5 times. We'll beat the Ravens. Like, what do they have to do to beat the Chiefs?
There's no answer.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Play a lot better than you've ever played against the Chiefs. That's what you got to do. Play a lot better than you've ever freaking played against the Chiefs.
They're gonna have to play out of their minds. Yeah. They're gonna have to play out of their minds. Like for me, I look at just the basics of what it takes. Like there was an effort issue on defense. I feel like that these guys think that they can just turn it on when they need to. And we've gotten out of some tricky games versus some teams that, quite frankly, just weren't better than us. The Green Bay Packers are not better than us. The Detroit Lions are not better than us. So you can actually get a couple of mulligans against a team who, top to bottom, you're better than, especially from a coaching perspective. My thing is that the Chiefs are undefeated against us. And the last time we saw them last year, they stomped a mud hole in us. That's just facts. All right. Now, if we keeping it a buck, we came off of a 2-game road streak, a 2-game road trip, East Coast, where I think we played Carolina and Atlanta. We incurred some injuries, and I think that's where we had a bye, and that was Christian's first game playing with us.
Yep. So he wasn't a big factor. But
he wasn't that much of a big factor. That defense got embarrassed.
And that team didn't have Tyreek Hill or anything. I mean, it was basically the same offense with a few different offensive linemen, but that defense needs answers. And I don't know. It's hard to say that this defense is going to lock in. Like, it hasn't in a while. They gave up 29 to Arizona. That wasn't that long ago. 31 to Detroit.